Trump refuses to rule out third term. Says, I have the best poll numbers. Nice.
To be able to run and potentially win a third term in 2028. Is that something you'd be willing to challenge the court to be?
Well, I haven't really thought about it. We have some very good people, as you know. But I have the best poll numbers I've ever had. I mean, I just solved 8 wars and a 9th is coming. I believe Russia-Ukraine will happen.
You said that for 2028, they're very good people.
Well, we have great people. Well, I don't have to get into that, but we have one of them standing right here. We have JD, obviously. The vice president is great. I think Marco's great. I think, I'm not sure if anybody would run against us. I think if they ever formed a group, it would be unstoppable. I really do. I believe that. I would love to do it. I have my best numbers ever. It's very terrible. I have my best numbers. If you read it, am I not ruling it out? I mean, you'll have to tell me. All I can tell you is that we have a great group of people, which they don't.
I don't think they sweet, man. I don't like when he jokes like that. I don't like it at all. I've seen what this joke leads to. Okay. That's crazy. It's just, I got great numbers. I don't know. You tell me. Maybe I'll run again. Oopsie. I don't think he's joking when he says that. And I think that a lot of liberals are afraid, like a lot of liberals in positions of power, politicians in general, are afraid of saying that this is not a joke because they don't want to come across as like silly if it doesn't happen. But they should be working towards Trump doing this. Okay. They should be trying to set up ways in which they cripple the administration moving in this direction, even if they're not outwardly stating that Donald Trump absolutely is trying to secure a third term or just permanently remain in power.
One theory on how you might try to serve a third term is that you could run as the vice president.
Yeah, I'd be allowed to do that.
Is it the White House or the White House counsels or your legal position?
No, you'd be allowed to do that, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that. I think it's too cute. Yeah, I would rule that out because it's too cute. I think the people wouldn't like that. It's too cute. It's not. It wouldn't be right.
Oh my God. I covered this already, but it bears repeating. Like in terms of Donald Trump's ambitions for continuing for a third term, Steve Bannon basically gave the game away here in this conversation on The Economist.
Trump 28. Trump is going to be president in 28, and people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is, but there's a plan, and President Trump will be the president in 28.
There's a plan.
Yeah. Sammy Gold says, and he's right, the only thing stopping Trump from running for a third term is whether he wants to or not, or whether he's even alive. Nothing else matters. Yes. People who are professionally wrong, Dylan Esper, who is like mind broken by Israel so hard that they're also saying that this is neurotic. I'm starting to admire the Republicans' operation here. They know Trump isn't getting a third term, but they also know they can induce panic among neurotic liberals who refuse to use their brains. Defining leak down, this was a paper handed out to reporters at CPAC this year, urging them to cover an unofficial event on the sidelines. Exclusive, a leaked CPAC press memo shows the third term project hosting a February 20th event titled The Case for Presidential Tenure Reform. They're openly arguing for a constitutional amendment to let Trump serve up to 3 terms, citing unfinished business and continuity. This isn't subtle anymore. It's a blueprint for permanent power. This is from before. Pay close attention to their verbiage surrounding this. This should clue you into the broader picture. First of all, I'm saying that the ambition they have there is real, okay, as opposed to what people are saying could potentially happen. And I also personally think that like what Steve Bannon is mentioning here, what they are going to do is instead of like a constitutional amendment, I think that they are going to say, just like Steve Bannon did, that the Constitution is supposed to vaguely protect the interests of the masses. And they're going to try and turn this into a referendum on whether or not he should serve a third term. And they're going to do it like they did before. In the past, if you recall, they were able to block Supreme Court appointments. They were like, well, you know, let the people decide on who gets to pick the next Supreme Court justice. This is the end of the 8-year term here. This is ridiculous. It's a similar thing that they're going to try and do, which is, once again, oh, well, let the people decide. And of course, I don't believe that the voting at that point will reflect what you understand voting to look like, whether it be with the vote watchers that he wants to place in the state of California and in other blue states, which will obviously actively depress turnout and try to strike fear. I think it's a multiple front agenda where I think that martial law also factors into this to a certain degree. whether by way of hot war with Venezuela or the entire Latin American continent, the entire South American continent, or whether it be internal strife that escalates to some kind of martial law initiative. There's a definite chance he tries to run for re-election, but I don't think Bannon knows anything at all. He likes to exaggerate what he knows. No, I agree. Bannon likes to self-aggrandize and really beef up his importance. He'll talk to any media figure that presents him as a significant factor in the administration. He greatly overemphasizes his role here, for sure. Having said that, I do believe that there is ambition in the Trump administration to do this. Whether it'll be Steve Bannon and his strategies that play this role, or whether it be the Heritage Foundation and other institutionally important think tanks on the Republican side that play this role, it doesn't matter. But I'm sure there's a legion of lawyers that are actively trying to present this argument, this alternative right now, whichever way they can. The main indication that he might run for a third term is because Steve Bannon keeps talking about it? No, that's not where this comes from. I mean, even this like leaked CPAC memo is a good example of this, that it's not just Steve Bannon. Like, even if this is the Republicans doing it on their own, fake leaking to the media to stir up trouble and chaos and controversy. No, I meant the opposite. Trump said it himself. Oh, yes, exactly. Trump himself is saying it. Yes, that is a major point. Even down to like the 2028 merchandise. Like, they're doing it and they're testing the waters. Your mind is not this liberal brain broken. They're not going to use procedural tomfoolery that uses 12D chess moves. They're going to do something big, stupid, and blunt, then challenge anyone to stop them via courts or Congress. I'm saying that there is nothing more big and blunt than martial law due to internal strife caused by deployment of the military to blue cities, or martial law of some sort due to war, hot war with Venezuela. That's the biggest thing you can do. Yeah, claiming the Venezuelan cartels are here already? No, it goes beyond that. So the way this works is, let's say in a hypothetical situation, you go to war with Venezuela, you go to hot war with Venezuela, then every single Venezuelan that's living on U.S. soil will be driven to internment camps, similar to the Japanese during World War II. But it goes beyond that, because then you can make an argument for every single Latino living on U.S. soil, American citizen and non-citizen alike. Because then it's like, oh, well, we have disloyal enemies living amongst ourselves. And it's not just the Latino population. It would be all political dissidents as well. Oh, well, this is a war. This is serious. And you guys are not taking this seriously. You're actually behaving as spoilers. You're actually engaging in treason. Because remember, conscientious objectors were thrown into prison. People who dissented against involving the United States in World War I, for example, like Eugene Debs, literally was thrown in jail for their participation in the anti-war protests. In times of war, and not the proxy wars that we see, but like in times of all-out warfare, state versus state warfare, and not like the recent history's counterinsurgency battles and proxy wars that are happening overseas, but like direct war with an entire nation state, the government goes completely overboard with what they can get away with at the behest of vague gestures towards national security. Let's take a look at the accountability from the right. Here's what Steve Bannon had to say about Donald Trump running over and over again.
He's going to get a third term. So Trump 28. Trump is going to be president in 28. And people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is, but there's a plan. We had longer odds in 16 and longer odds in 24 than we got in 28. And President Trump will be the president of the United States, and the country needs him to be president of the United States. We have to finish what we started. Trump is a vehicle. I know this will drive you guys crazy, but he's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very imperfect. He's not churchy, not particularly religious, but he's an instrument of divine will, and you can tell this of how he's pulled this off. We need him for at least one more term, right? And he'll get that in 28.
You're not driving me crazy. I'm trying to understand the coherence of the things you've just told me. On the one hand, you've said the Constitution is fit for purpose. Secondly, you've said that President Trump needs another term, even though the 22nd Amendment makes pretty clear that he cannot have another term.
Why does it make that clear?
Because he's on his second term already.
At some point in time, we will make sure we go through Zanny and define all those terms.
But you will be undermining the spirit of that amendment, even if you find some way around it.
If the American people, with the mechanisms we have, put Trump back in office, are the American people tearing up the Constitution? Would that be tearing up?
Well,
Would the American people be going against the spirit of the Constitution, ma'am?
I think yes, actually, because I
You
think
say-
what you will end up with
you're
is
saying the
a
American people-
populist justification for a quasi-dictatorship.
That's not true at all. Trump
That's
works-
what it sounds like.
It's not.
He already laid out the roadmap. They're going to find a fake justification for it. And then they're going to say, let the voters decide through principled democracy on whether or not this is constitutionally appropriate or inappropriate. After all, this is the democratic process. And then, due to all of the machinations in play right now, that will not be a real vote. It won't be. There will be overwhelming pressure. They will either fake the numbers or there won't be a real electoral process at all. And then they'll turn around and use that as a justification to say, see, the people decided.
Trump is a dictatorship. Did you just see the compromises he had to make on the big, beautiful bill? You see the compromises he has to do on everything, on accommodating Zelensky, on what President Trump. President Trump is nothing but a series of negotiations to kind of keep this thing rolling forward, where he's having trade-offs all the time. How
Steve,
can you-
you've
please give me-
just spent
please
the
give me
last 20 minutes
please-
telling me we have to smash the other side. There's no room for debate. There's no room for compromise. We must smash them. And now you're telling me this is a negotiation. I mean, that's
No.
I guess that's why
on
it
his
seems to
pol-
me
on
some
his
kind of
policy.
tension
First
there.
off, the only way President Trump wins in 2028 and continues to stay in office is by the will of the American people. Okay? And the will of the American people is what the Constitution embodies. And so I think we're going to be in good hands there. We need to finish what we started.
He can go by the Turkish route, martial law, referendum. But unlike the Turkish route, he could do a fake referendum.